In this video, we're going to be looking at colour. So we've discussed proportion and drawing, and we've discussed values, which is lights and darks, and we've also looked at edges and accents. And now we're going to look at colour. This white jug has lots of beautiful colours in it, but it's very subtle and a little bit tricky. So I'm going to choose instead a tangerine, which is really lovely and obvious, and also eventually this blue vase, and then we'll look at the relationship of those two colours as well. I can see I've got this little white stripe here. So the colour of the tangerine is very orange and what we call chromatic. So colour is the umbrella term for all the words in colour. So with colour you've got, again, the value, which is whether it's a light or dark version. And you've got the chroma, which is Greek for colour, and it just means how intense or saturated the colour is. So this is quite chromatic, we would say. And you've also got the temperature, whether it's a cool or warm version. So colour is quite a simple subject, and people like to make it much more complicated, but the most difficult thing really is values and understanding the value. We all know that this is orange, but is it a cool orange or a warm orange? Slightly green here, so it's going towards the yellow perhaps, and up here it's a little bit warmer. Often shadows, when you've got natural light, can appear a lot warmer, so this appears quite warm, and this is also quite warm. But let's first of all just keep the colour very simple. So I've got my sketch pad again, and this is a lovely shape to draw because it's a organic, nice, simple object. But remember, height, scale of the object, the proportion, it's a little bit wider than it is tall. It's got this lovely gesture, it's not completely perfect, it's a little bit wonky, which makes it more interesting. And there's this lovely cast shadow because we've learnt about shadow shapes and the shadow here. So when you see colour, you see first of all, just make these lines a bit darker, which is very uninstinctual for me. I'm making them darker just so that you can read the shapes better. When we talk about colour, we see colour first of all in the light. If it were night time, we'd see no colour, so it's more important that we establish the colour in the light. But the colour is only relative to the values, as in to the lights and darks. So first of all, we want to put down the dark. But to make our life simple, we don't have to put down the dark in the correct colour. First of all, we're going to do exactly what we did in the initial steps and just mass the shadow, including, remember, because of the lost edges, the cast shadow. And if we have time, we can go into what this colour is. But more important is to find the colour in the light. So the colour in the light is an orange. I don't have an orange, but I have a red and a yellow pencil. So I'm just going to use them together. So I'll block out the red, because that's probably the more chromatic colour. It's more red than it is yellow. And I'll add some yellow on top. I've got two yellows, and I'm going to choose my slightly warmer yellow because it's a warm yellow on top. I'm also going to add a highlight. Now the highlight isn't always white, and white is quite a tricky colour because it's quite a cold colour. So I'm going to add a yellow, a very pale yellow for my highlight. I'm putting down a little bit more pressure. There we are. Now this is, if it started, the telephone rang and I had to go, the drawing is enough said like that. But now that I've got time, I'm just going to go in and say what colour the shadow is. And I think it's reddy green. So I'm going to put some red down on top of this. But it doesn't go into the cast shadow, because remember the cast shadow is the value of the fabric, not the value of the tangerine. So it'll just go along here. And if we remember our lessons from our accents, I can put some nice little sharper edges here. So I think the biggest mistake is people always are excited about a little transition change in the shadow here. But what we always say is we lose in our darks. The information in the darks is not important, and we gain in our lights. I might put a little bit, if I have a green, I don't think I even have a green, so I'll do a little bit of blue in the shadow, because to me it seems very bluey down here as well. Make it more interesting. And there's a little accent here of the stalk. I don't know whether you can see that, if it's called a stalk even. Okay, so that's adding a little bit of colour. Of course we can refine it more and give a couple of little accents along the edge here as well. And I could take it much further, but for blocking of colour, that's quite nice and simple.